fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Head that D tuned in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
And welcome, folks, to another Fish Report Live, our Season 7 premiere. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. We're your co-host. Back in our sound room are two guys we like to call TK and Heavy D. We're going to be checking in with them a little bit later in the show. And welcome back, partner.
Well, Craig, it's great to be back. Hard to believe we're in our 7th year. But it's time. It's time we get back in the seats over here. Really looking forward to talking some high school sports with our viewers out there over the next 9 months. And, the weather's getting cooler out there. It's starting to feel like trick or treat already out there, Craig. And, that can only mean a couple things, and that's golf season, volleyball season, and cross-country season, and football season. And we're going to talk a lot about it over the next 8 to 10 weeks.
Absolutely. It's September. People were asking all summer, when you guys coming back, when you coming back? And September's always our starting month there. Mm-hmm. And like you said, we go through about 9 months into actually May, the end of May. So, we like to talk high school sports in this show. Going to talk about some of those sports you just mentioned, in particular the volleyball and golf. And then we're also going to have talk some football as well with a couple new guys we got on the show, guys that some of our viewers may be familiar with because they've been part of this Fish Report network in the past. Mm-hmm. One of the guys actually filled in for us last season a little bit, and the other guy, you might have heard him on radio doing some CYO state basketball games last winter. But we'll get to that in a little bit, Ken. We do have a big interview tonight, though, don't we?
Yes, we do, Craig, and we're going to go talk to Russia head volleyball coach Aaron Watkins. Craig, he's got Russia girls playing some excellent volleyball right now. Actually went to the game last night. Very intense. Big win for Coach Watkins and his team last night as they stayed undefeated in the Shelby County League. He's in his second year, Craig. Had a nice year with the Lady Raiders last year. And, they're fun to watch. They're exciting. And, he's really bringing some excitement to the volleyball program. A lot of social media, a lot of different things like that entices the fans. And so, again, really looking forward to talking to Coach Watkins and see what is driving his team this year and what we got to look forward to the remainder of the season.
Yeah, well, one thing we like to do on this show every year and every week is our weekly poll question, and tonight's poll question has to do with what you just talked about there, some volleyball.
Volleyball, Craig, and there's always some really good volleyball played in the Shelby County League, and we're going to ask our listeners tonight to choose who they feel has the best chance of winning the Shelby County League in volleyball. Is it Anna, Watkins, Fort Loramie, or Russia? 4 great teams right there. Traditional, rich programs there, Craig, with Fort Loramie, of course, and Anna. Russia on the rise, and Watkins with a very nice team this year as well.
Yeah, if you're watching us on the on your computers on the Fish Report Live page, you can scroll down, help us answer tonight's poll question. If you happen to be watching us on NK Telco, we will have those results for you at the end of the show. All right, Ken, well, let's get things started. And as we mentioned, got a couple new guys coming in tonight. Again, one of those guys was filling in for us last year on a couple occasions. I know he filled in for you, filled in for our sound room guys. Of course, that's Brandon Coverman. And then viewers may recognize this voice, but Daniel Kearns actually did some play-by-play for us last year, some color commentating actually for the CYO state basketball tournament held there at Claire C. Naveau Gymnasium in Russia. And we like to call these guys, I guess, Covey and Kearns. And let's go out to Studio R right now and check in with those guys. And guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Glad to be here.
Craig, I really like the new technology. I'm sure our viewers are noticing it already with the split screen Studio R out there. So great job to you, Craig, setting that up.
Well, listen, I know these guys, we like to talk about high school sports, but you guys, you actually participate in high school sports. And I know some of our viewers may see you out there on the playing field or in the gym, but, all we can do is talk about it. You guys are actually out there doing it. So I know Brandon, or you actually are out in the golf course and play baseball in the spring. Daniel, I know you actually do basketball and baseball as well. So we want to get into the heartbeat of what's going on out there. And Kobe, I'll start with you. I know you're part of that Russia golf team. It's always a competitive thing in the SCAL as well as the MAC and some of the other conferences around here. Tell us, who you're out there. Don't get a lot of fans out there on the golf course. So who are some of the good teams right now? Who are some of the players maybe that our viewers should look out for as the season goes on?
Oh, well, I'm going to start off with players real quick. Saturday at the Versailles Invitational, Kyle Nauman was the medalist from St. Henry. He shot a 75. He's been a pretty good player, played up at Lima Junior League the past few years. Nick Fischio from Watkins is another guy I'm going to touch on. Most likely going to be SCAL Player of the Year with his scores so far. He's been playing really solid for the Trojans. Had a 40 the other night when we played him. And I'm also going to go with Russia Senior, my teammate Jack Daypor. He shot a 79, finished in the top 5 at the Versailles Invite for the second year in a row. And he's playing some really solid golf right now for the Raiders. Now, some of the teams I'm going to look at St. Henry. They won on a tiebreaker against Anna with a 341 to win the Versailles Invite. And then after that, I'm going to look at the Laramie Redskins. Right now, they're 5-0 in the league. They just nipped Jackson Center the other night by 7, and they will try to look to go 6-0 tomorrow night against Russia Arrowhead, which I hope you guys will all be able to make it out there. And I'm also going to look at the Anna Rockets. They struggled a bit from time to time, but they've got some really top solid golfers in Eli Cook and Mason Platfoot.
I wonder if you're going to mention those Anna Rockets. They are. It seems like Kobe, the same teams every year. You talk about Russia, you talk about Anna. Some of those teams like at Fort Laramie seem like those same teams always are at the top of the league in golf, and that seems to be the same thing again this year.
Yeah, it's a pretty consistent thing. You see teams come and go. With high school and graduation and with how many kids participate, it just depends on the year, but a lot of the programs stay the same, and you see them strong programs finishing in the top 5 every year at a lot of invitationals.
Well, one team that's traditionally been good, guys, I think is the Minster Wildcats, and you didn't mention those guys. How are they playing this year over in the MAC? Are they competitive at all?
Yes, they finished actually 3rd. I think they shot a 342 the other day at the Versailles Invite. They're pretty young. Got a couple freshmen. We played with them earlier in the year. Got a couple freshmen, sophomore, so a little youth experience. They had a very good team the other year, kind of dropped off the map for a year or two, but they're back with some youth, and the potential sky high for them.
But one of the better players in the MAC you mentioned was a kid from St. Henry. What was his name again?
His name is Kyle Nauman.
And is he the best player in the MAC in your opinion?
Yes, I would say so. There's some other good players in the MAC, but he's definitely the standout for him.
All right, well, good stuff there, Kobe. And Kearns, will go to you. I know another sport we want to talk about, a sport that Russia doesn't necessarily have, but that's football. And there's a lot of football played around this area. Of course, it's huge in the MAC. We have the CCC, we have the OHC, the GWAC. It's all around us. I want to ask you, though, not being at a football school, but if you had to go out there and watch, 2-3 teams out there, who are some of the teams you want to watch? Who are some of the better teams out there, in your opinion, that you'd like to see play?
Yeah, my top 3 teams, they're all from the MAC. I got Marion Local, St. Henry, and Coldwater. And I'll start you with Coldwater. Coldwater, so far, they're 2-0 in the season. They got Nate Bruns, a junior, at quarterback, and Matt Rathman, the running back. And with the offensive line that they got, Matt Rathman will get a lot of takes. And they got John Dirksen, who's the 4-star recruit going to Notre Dame. And he'll look to really lead his team as a senior. And then I think they'll go 8-2 this year, and they'll make it to state. For St. Henry, they got Dalen Lang at quarterback. He started for week 3 last year as a junior, and as a senior, he'll look to lead this team. They got a lot of young athletes on their team and a lot of upperclassmen coming up. I see them going 7-3 and deep into the playoffs. And for Coldwater, they lost a lot in the last 3 years, but with the success that they've had, with the pride that they have at their school, I see them going pretty deep. They got Sam Broering at quarterback, and they got Brian Gerg at QB. And with the big O-line that they got, they'll give it to him a lot, and they'll look to pass too. I see them going 7-3, and they'll go the distance in the postseason, but they won't make it to state.
Well, DK, let me ask you a couple questions here. First of all, great coverage of the MAC right there. you hit home on all the traditional heavyweights of the MAC. Of course, tough league over there, and then, of course, you can add in Minster to that and Versailles and some of the other heavyweights. But, DK, we like to cover some of the G-Walk, and you left a team out that I'm a big fan of right now, and that is the Sydney Yellow Jackets. They're off to a 2-0 start, looking to go 3-0. Friday night for the first time in like 17 years to start a season. They're led by the energetic Coach Dunges. They got 4-star basketball / football recruit Andre Gordon, and led by Isaiah Bowser, the commit to Northwestern already. Tell me a little bit about the Yellow Jackets. Do you like this team, and what's your thoughts on how deep they can go?
Yeah, I like them a lot. They got a lot of energy in the backfield with Andre Gordon and Isaiah Bowers. They'll look to run the option a lot, and Andre can pass too, so that'll be exciting to watch. I see them doing pretty well. I see them making the postseason, but they won't go that far. Well,
they're in a tough league, DK. I agree. The G-Walk, anytime you got to go up against Wayne and Trotwood and Troy and Piqua, all those likes, it makes it tough to get enough quality wins there to make the playoffs. But like you said, I think they give it a good run this year.
I can hear some Sydney fans, I think, yelling right now from the other end of Shelby County. I think they feel like they got some very good talent. Bowser, like you said, going to Northwestern, he's had a heck of a start to the season. And Andre Gordon, the guy's just multi-talented. He can run, he can throw, he can do everything. So I think that they, in their minds, they probably think they got a shot to do some things in the postseason this year. But some great calls there. Of course, you mentioned Coldwater Marion. That big game is coming up this Friday, and I know everybody likes to talk about the 50-50 over there and what that pot can get up to. But it's going to be a heck of a game, I think, between those two schools.
Yeah, I agree, Craig. The only 50-50 bigger than that is the whistle stop in Ansonia. But that said, you're right. It's going to be a great game. Always a traditional battle there between two football heavyweights, Craig, and they put the OHSA put them both in the same division this year, Division 5. Is that correct?
Yep.
So they both can't win state this year, Kobe. So I don't know if you got any comments on that or not, but I can promise you one thing: they both won't win state.
Yeah, I actually was talking to some Coldwater people over the summer, and they were very upset that they had to move down to Division 6. And what a lot of people think it's with this competitive balance, it's actually with the amount of kids they've had. Coldwater fairly large in population. Class sizes have dipped a little, so it's caused them for Coldwater and Marion set up a potential regional finals matchup, which I hope to see in sometime in October or November.
All right. Well, listen, that is great stuff, guys. Want to thank you for joining us tonight. Look forward to talking to you in the weeks to come about high school sports, and thanks again. So, all right, Cam, well, listen, let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about another fall sport, and that's volleyball, and we're going to chat with a coach who may have got the biggest win of his career this past Tuesday. So stay there, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. If you listen to our commercial there, you might have heard a familiar voice. Of course, that is local singer-songwriter Mark Cantwell. He actually sings the opening jingle for Fish Report Live shows, done a lot of work for us over the years. And if you didn't recognize that song, it's because that's from his new album. It's called Pride in His Name. That's actually the name of the song and the name of the album. Mark just came out with this here recently. If you want to pick it up, you can go to markcantwell.com and pick it up. And Ken, always nice to hear from Mark Cantwell, and glad for everything he does for the show.
Yes, it is, Craig. He's fun to listen to, and whenever we see him, Craig, he likes to sing our favorite song, of course, and it's always fun.
Hanging at the Fish Report.
That's right.
All right, Ken. Well, listen. We talked a little golf, talked a little football before the break. Didn't talk any cross country. We'll get to that maybe in the weeks to come. But ready to talk a little volleyball, and of course, the always competitive Shelby County Athletic League is in full swing. Let's take a quick look at the standings and see where we're at.
Well, Craig, we'll start at the top there. Of course, we're going to see the Russia Raiders and the Fort Laramie Redskins. Craig, two traditional rivals right there, sitting at 3-0 atop the league. You got Bokkens, Craig, like you said. Russia's got a big game with them tomorrow night as they travel to Bokkens. Bokkens just one game back. Anna at 2-2. Houston at 1-3. Jackson Center, very surprisingly there, Craig, on 0-2 and 1-4 on the season. But, boy, did they have quite the run under Coach Kim Metz there for a couple years. I think they went at 59-1 over 2 years. So I guess everybody's allowed to have a down year once in a while. But if anybody can build the program back, it'll be her. And then the Fairlawn Jets are 0-3. So it's still early, Craig. But, again, if you want a chance to win the always tough Shelby County League, Craig, you got to start out good. And that's exactly what the Russia Raiders and Coach Aaron Watkins have done.
Yeah, speaking of Coach Watkins, we have him live on the phone right now. Coach, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me back out on the Fish Report this year.
All right, well, listen, Ken just mentioned that Anna game. I want to talk about that. I read this morning, I was on the Press Pros Magazine website. You were quoted as saying this was probably your biggest early season win of your career. How big was that game on Tuesday night?
It was huge for us. We've talked about, playing consistently, and we have to play at a high level in order to accomplish the stuff we've talked about early in the year. And we made sure the girls knew that this was going to be a big game that they had to come out ready for, and I really think that they did. So we were really pleased with last night.
Well, listen, I was at that game, and I think everybody in our studio here tonight was at that game, and a lot of momentum shifts in the game. One of those had to be when Anna's libero went down. They seemed to get a little frustrated, didn't know what to do at that point. But I want to know, what was the keys to the game for Rushi? What was the keys to the game for your success last night?
Last night, and I think just the season overall so far, we really talked about just playing consistently, trying not to have a lot of dips and lose momentum, and try to just stay at a high level all the time. And a lot of that comes back to us talking as a team and getting excited, and we definitely did that last night. And I think whenever we stayed aggressive hitting with Larissa and Cameo and Morgan, Ashley Scott up there, and Claudia, whenever they were staying aggressive, I think that was huge for us. And then having that big crowd that got into the game there at the end, that made all the difference for us. It really did.
All right, well, you mentioned staying consistent this season. You're 7 games into it, and you've had a tough schedule to start out. One of the games you played early was against New Bremen, who I know a lot of people around here are picking to make a deep run in the postseason, possibly go to state. You played against Division III Versailles. You already got the 2-time defending champs over there at Jackson Center. And then, of course, you played Division III Anna on Tuesday night. What kind of positives, other than being consistent, are you taking from this team so far through 7 games?
Not even just through the 7 games, but over the summer even, compared to last year. I just think this team has a lot better chemistry. They anticipate together, and they're talking. They all get along on and off the court, and I think that's made a huge difference for us this year. And you mentioned the tough schedule, and I think going 5-2 these first 7 games really has shown people that we're the real deal this year.
Coach, hi, this is Ken, and first of all, congratulations on the nice start to the season here and the big win last night. I read early in the season, in the preview, you were very optimistic about this team. You had 7 returning lettermen from a team that won 14 games last year. Like Craig said, you've had a tough schedule to begin with. You've fought through it. You're sitting at 5-2. What do you feel this team is capable of?
Well, when we started the season, we sat down as a team and we talked about some team goals that we had. And two of the goals that these girls have had, from my understanding from when they were playing in middle school, was they wanted to win the county and they want to make a run at the regional title. So our goals definitely are the county title and a district title. And it's been 14 years since Russia Volleyball has had either one of those. So I think that would be two great goals and two great accomplishments for this group this year. But I would say making it out to the regional tournament's not unrealistic at all.
Well, Coach, one thing you're going to need to get there is good leadership. And good leadership typically starts with a solid senior class. This year you've got Claudia Counts, Lexi Monin, Whitney Plyman, and Cameo Wilson, 4 nice senior players for you. How important were they during your summer program? All the conditioning and what's going on right now. How have these seniors helped lead this team?
They've been absolutely amazing. They've all played varsity for at least 3, some of them 4 years now. So they've been through the county schedule. They know what it takes. And a big one that I want to give a shout out to, other than, all of them have been great, but Cameo having her shoulder surgery, and she was out all summer. She really helped Ashley Scott in particular. Being a freshman, she really talked to her a lot and kept her cool and, talked her through a lot of things. So that's been really helpful. But, I mean, they're all great leaders. They're all competitive, and we're definitely going to miss them after this year's over.
Coach, well, whenever you get a big win in the Shelby County League, you have no time to really sit back and think about it because you always have to get ready for that next big game. In this case, you only have one night to prepare for a big game tomorrow night. You travel to Botkins, and you got to keep the highs to a minimum, and now you have to focus on the Botkins Trojans. They're a good team this year, sitting at 2-1 in the Shelby County League, 3-3 overall. How do you refocus your team after that big win against Anna and say, hey, girls, we got a tough game Thursday night. Let's go up to Botkins and get a W? Yeah.
Today we had a really focused practice. We didn't really talk about last night. That was done and over with in our book, and we haven't got a chance to watch Botkins, but I think if we go out there and we talk and play at that high, consistent level we've talked about and just stay aggressive at the net and our defense has been great all year with Whitney and Lexi and Faith and everyone who's back there. So I think if we just play our game, we'll be just fine.
Hey, Coach, one more question before we let you go. But last night I was at that game, as I mentioned before, and, the gym was probably as loud as I've heard it in a long time for a volleyball game. Wanted to ask you what the community sport's been like for your program, and what do you see as the future of Russia Volleyball? Is it on the upswing?
Yeah, I've been out here, this is my second year at Russia, and I've loved every minute of it. The community's been great, and I really think last night having everyone there and having an exciting game for them to watch, I really think that's going to, keep people coming back, and hopefully they realize how exciting volleyball can be. And the future is really bright. Middle school program has a lot of athletes, and they're heading in the right direction, and we know that what we're doing is heading us in the right direction, and our saying we've had all year is we're going to set a new standard with Russia Volleyball, and that starts with this year, and making what we're doing this year something we expect every single year.
Coach, this is Ken again. I've got one more question here. And speaking of setting a new standard, I've got to admit, from a guy that doesn't go to a whole lot of volleyball games, I was there last night. I really enjoyed it. And but I got to give a shout out to your social media. It's such a big thing nowadays, and your Twitter account, always telling us when the next game is and all that stuff. So great work on that. Again, kudos to your social media. If it's you or whoever it might be, but they're doing a good job of keeping people involved and really putting some excitement into the Russia volleyball program.
Yep, that's what we're hoping for, so I'm glad it's doing the trick.
Well, it's doing its job because, like I said, had it not been for that, I most likely would not have been there last night, but went to the game, really enjoyed it, and I'll definitely be back.
Great. Yep, glad to hear it.
All right, Coach. Well, listen, hey, thanks for joining us on the show tonight. Best of luck on Thursday at Botkins, and good luck the rest of the season.
Yep, thanks a lot for having me back, and appreciate having me on.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, that was the head coach of the Russia Raiders, Aaron Watkins, and like I said, we were all at that gym last night, and what an exciting night that was. Kind of reminded me of a basketball game. You get fired up for basketball, and the gym gets loud. It was exactly like that for volleyball. Had a great student section on the Russia side in particular, and a lot of fun there last night, going all the way to five games.
Yes, it was.
All right, well, let's bring in those sound room guys. Ken, let's talk to them. Get them on the show here. It's guys, welcome back for another season. Glad you can make it. We can't do it without you, that's for sure.
It's good to be here.
Yep.
All right, well, I know you were in that gym last night as well, and we were all there, and it was a pretty good atmosphere, wasn't it?
It was a lot of fun. I've been to quite a few volleyball games. My daughter went all the way through high school playing, and that had to be close to one of the loudest, if not the loudest gym that I've been in a long time, outside of maybe a deep into a tournament drive, but that was a lot of fun to be at.
It was a good crowd, good participation by the student body, so keep it up, Russia High School and Junior High. It's good to have you on the Raiders back there.
Anna had that girl, Meyer, that was could hit really hard for them, and then we would come back with Poling. She was hitting hard as well, and lots of good digs and sets and all that volleyball lingo. But it was exciting for anyone that was in that gym.
Yeah,
that's
a
for
lot
sure.
of good volleys.
Yeah, the ladies, they play hard. I mean, they're on the ground a lot of the time. They're diving for things and running into chairs, running into the bleachers. It's go, go, go.
All right, well, listen, guys, we covered a lot tonight. Like I said, we did some golf, we did a little football, talked some volleyball. I want to ask you guys, coming back for the 7th season here, what are you looking forward to? Maybe focus on the fall a little bit. What are you two looking forward to back there?
Well, I think for me, I've had a couple boys go through golf the last couple of years, so I've been one of those few spectators. You can actually follow high school golf if you want to, if you behave yourself out there and know the protocol. But one team I'm looking forward to going far into the tournament is the Fort Laramie Redskins. I've gotten to know Coach Turner over the last couple years. He's always been a gracious, and he'll admit, a gracious loser. The Redskins have had a tough go at it over the last couple of years. They did lose last year's Shelby County Player of the Year, Brad Gautemiller. Whether they win or lose, he posts a score on Twitter, and he's always congratulatory to the winners. This year it's the Laramie Redskins' turn, and hopefully Coach Turner can take the boys deep into a tournament run. It'd be nice to see him over at Columbus later this fall, though.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Heavy D. You talked about social media, Ken, and I know Coach Watkins is big about putting the hashtag setting a new standard. I always get a kick out of Coach Turner when whether they win or lose, you're right, he posts it, and usually it's pretty short when they lost. He'll say, we lost.
Short and sweet, but you know what? I give the guy credit. I, too, agree with you, Heavy D. I'm a big follower of Coach Turner. There's nothing more important. If you're going to post it on social media, post it when you win and post it when you lose. Because if you're only posting the dubs, nobody really cares.
Yep.
What about you, TK? What are you looking forward to this year?
As always, just looking forward to meeting a lot of new, or maybe even connecting with the great student athletes that we get to talk to, the coaches. Always a lot of fun just to learn a little bit about the kids and the coaches and get a little more of their personality out, more than just seeing them on the sidelines. I think it's great to talk to them and learn a little bit about them. Before we take off, though, want to give a big shout out to one of our biggest fans and a former member on one of our crews early on, Jamie Heron. I know he's probably out there watching, hoping you're getting better, dude. We miss you, so we're looking forward to seeing you back at home.
Yeah, Jamie was part of one of our early shows there when we did the Heavy D's Wild
Adventure.
Wild Adventure, Outdoor
Great
America.
Guy, and like you said, good luck, Jamie, out there. I'm sure you're listening tonight to us.
All right, good stuff, guys. One more thing to get to tonight before we close the show, and that is tonight's poll question. Ken, why don't you read that for our viewers again?
Well, we asked our viewers out there, which volleyball team do you feel has the best chance of winning the Shelby County League Championship? Is it Anna, Botkins, Fort Laramie, or Russia? TK, what do the telemetrics have to say back here?
Well, the telemetrics come in with, I think, a lot of people backing the Raiders after that big win last night. Raiders pull in 50% of the votes, and then we got Fort Laramie coming in second with 31% of the votes. So everybody's looking at that Raider win and putting their votes right there.
Well, it's definitely, I would say it's going to come down to them two teams, and anything in the Shelby County League, you get that round robin where you play each other twice, Craig, anything can happen.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, that's for sure. All right, well, that's going to do it for us tonight. I do want to say special thanks to Coach Watkins for joining us on the show tonight. Ken and I and the crew will all be back again next week, same time, same place. Thanks for joining us. Have a good rest of the week, everyone, and good night.
Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging